All right. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Evelien Hauwaerts. I'm Manuscripts Curator at the Public Library in Bruges. And my co-hosts today are Katrien Deroo and Sofie Veramme. Yeah, next slide, please. So thank you for coming to our session about our IIIF project Mmmonk. Mmmonk, or Mmmonk, is an acronym for Medieval Monastic Manuscripts Open Network Knowledge. It is a collaboration between 4 partners: Bruges Public Library, Ghent University Library, Bruges Major Seminar, and Ghent Diocese. They are 4 very different types of institutions. So there's one public library with the largest collection of manuscripts in Flanders, one academic library with heaps of IIIF experience, and then 2 religious institutions with important collections, but with limited special collections operations. The project started in March 2019 and is projected to end in November 2022. Our goal is to unite all of the surviving manuscripts from 4 dissolved abbeys in Flanders, which you can see listed on the screen. And we aim to build this virtual library with IIIF manifests. Next slide, please. So far, we have identified 819 manuscripts that once belonged to one of the 4 abbeys. 690 volumes are kept at our 4 partner libraries, and 129 are at external collections in Europe and North America. All of the manuscripts in our own collections are digitized and made available in IIIF for this project. Next slide. For the manuscripts in external collections, we will have to rely on the availability of IIIF manifests. And on the slide, you can see a list of the institutions that have Mmmonk manuscripts in their collections. I apologize for the small font and poor contrast, but the information is also available on our project website. In bold font are the collections that have more than one Mmmonk manuscript, and the highlights indicate the state of IIIF availability for Mmmonk manuscripts. So a green highlight means that all of the Mmmonk manuscripts in this institution are already available in IIIF, which is great news for us. And a yellow highlight means that some are already available in IIIF. We aim to unite all of the manuscripts, not only because every individual manuscript is important, obviously, but also because as a whole, these medieval monastic libraries cover more than 8 centuries and represent coherent and well-defined sets of data. There's, for instance, an interesting subset of manuscripts created in the in situ scriptoria of the abbeys, which is just perfect for HDR analysis. So the more manifests we gather, the more appealing and relevant the virtual library becomes for research and development. So when a manifest is not available yet, there are basically 2 scenarios for us. Best case scenario is when the institution already implements IIIF, but hasn't created images and or manifests for our manuscripts yet. And in that case, we appeal to the goodwill of the curators to put our manuscripts on their agenda if they can. The other scenario is when an institution does not implement IIIF yet. In those cases, we will just have to wait and see how the situation evolves over the coming years, or whether maybe we can find an in-house solution. The 4 project partners are in any case committed to building this corpus even after the project has officially ended. We are definitely in this for the long run. So uniting the Mmmonk manuscripts via IIIF manifests is the first leg of our project. And the second leg is about IIIF development and raising IIIF awareness. And Katrien and Sofie will tell you all about this.
Thank you, Evelien. Sofie, can I have the next slide, please? So, as Evelien already said, in this project, we want to put our manuscripts collection front and center. And because we are dealing with such a coherent set of objects, a manuscript collection that's historically linked and well preserved as well, there's tremendous public interest in this corpus. This allows us to build a IIIF lab with use cases that all revolve around one and the same collection. The opportunities this offers us are very large, and we decided to split up our project in 3 stages. First of all, the building blocks, because of course you need a digitized collection and you need metadata to get to work. This was the first phase of the project, which ran until October 2020, and in which we just digitized the manuscripts collection, made them available through IIIF, and enriched our metadata for the IIIF manifests. Some of this is still ongoing. The final steps of digitization are coming along. We should be finished by the end of summer, and gradually all these manuscripts will be available through IIIF. And we are basically in the experiment stage right now. And this is where we explore what the user wants to do with these objects. And in a sense, we're doing a small medievalist focused version of the user research from Tuesday's keynote. We aim to get a lay of the land of IIIF, especially when it comes to 4 areas of interest we formulated, namely searching and browsing custom collections, visualizing annotations, guided viewing of complex objects, and IIIF image reuse. Alongside this, we're conducting a series of user interviews to get a grasp of the needs and the familiarity with IIIF of researchers and possible users of the collection. And then finally, in our final stage, which we have called Minimal IIIF, we want to delve deeper into these 4 areas of interest. For each area, we want to formulate a set of recommendations and try to build some tools and demos that allow us to bring IIIF closer to institutions and users. It is in this stage that we try to answer the question, how can we make IIIF attainable for all? As we notice that even though there is great enthusiasm to start working with this collection, IIIF and completely understanding it and working with it is currently mostly for the happy, for the tech-savvy, infrastructure-laden few. My colleague Sofie will go into the user interviews and how we will approach those.
Yeah. We started a second phase of the project by conducting interviews with our users, and we gathered a group of professionals such as professors, postdocs, curators, students, etc., from different fields of work involving our collections of manuscripts. And instead of guessing what researchers and end users would need, we want to investigate what withholds them from using IIIF to the full extent. What are the thresholds? What is necessary to get IIIF from the early adapters to the majority stage? And we want to probe for innovations that are the most necessary for users. What pending problems need our biggest focus? What is of interest to them? It will help us unravel blind spots and shift our gaze from an expert gaze to a user gaze. In these 2-hour sessions we will start from their experiences and their expectations. Like example for how do they start searching for and consulting online available manuscripts? How do they save and share information? What do they deem important in their consultation? And if they could dream without any technical limitations, what would they implement? By not starting explaining what IIIF is, how it works, we center the user experience rather than the technical background in which they operate. Only after discussing their purely researchers' need, we will move on to IIIF and its technical possibilities. We felt very inspired by the keynote user experience on IIIF by Amy Deschenes on Tuesday, and it confirmed our idea that for most users, IIIF feels too technical and difficult. We are also very enlightened to see how many people are working on this as well, and we believe that the strength of IIIF really lies in the joint efforts of this community. So feel free to get in touch with us. If you're working on similar projects or have conducted user interviews as well, your insights might mean a lot to us, and we could use this momentum to lift up IIIF to the general public. Now, for the next phase of the project, we have selected 4 areas of interest. That is guided viewing, visualizing annotations, collecting corpus and the full extent use of IIIF functions such as embedding. However, we don't know what focus is important yet and what is deemed most urgent. With the results of our interviews, we want to prioritize these needs in function of our minimal computing developments and aim for quick wins. We want to take existing IIIF-solutions and adapt them to the needs of manuscript studies and maximize IIIF user comfort. We are a rather small institution, and for our IIIF innovations, we are dependent on project funds of the Flemish government. For Mmmonk, however, we are collaborating with Ghent University Library, who takes a lead in IIIF innovations, and we are able to use their IIIF infrastructure. Combining their expertise with small project funds, we are to come to solutions for our users without necessarily working on a legacy of big library infrastructures. By using minimal computing techniques and building on already existing open source code, we want to create fast and agile applications for current problems with book materials and IIIF that are not yet solved by the fast evolving IIIF field. And we want, of course, these applications to be very, very user-friendly. Our first stage focuses on guided viewing. The existing applications are not yet sufficient for our goals. We want researchers and educator heritage specialists to be able to tell their stories, flipping through the pages of a manuscript and through different manuscripts. So we want to make guided viewing available for switching between canvases and manifests as well. And we want to incorporate video with the researchers carrying over their enthusiasm and making the story a dynamic and personal experience. And we want this tool to be easily reusable for our target audiences so they can build their own guided viewings. We also want to focus on annotations. The possibilities of annotations in combination with IIIF seem endless and very, very promising. However, until today, annotations can mostly only be added by the institution that manages the manifest. It is also often linked to the viewer provided by the institution, thus making the annotations non-interoperable and passive. When it is possible to add annotations as a user, they're often non-persistent. We want to figure out what is possible concerning annotation servers, but also copyrights on the annotations, etc. And plus, we want to experiment with annotation layers. How can we present several sets of annotations in a clear way without overwhelming the user? We will add different sets of annotations to the Liber Floribus, one of our masterpieces, and develop a rich demo special that allows us to explore different scenarios for the presentation of annotation and develop a rich demo space that allows us to explore different scenarios for the presentation of annotations. Again, we aim for user friendliness, and as Amy Descheen said in her keynote, we want to step away from the jargon and focus in our demo on an easy and fast experience for non-IIIF focused researchers.
So another field of interest we're dealing with is custom collections, because every time you explain IIIF to someone in the field, the idea of crossing institutional boundaries to work with images resonates the most, in our opinion. With initiatives for workspaces popping up here and there, for example, in Manuscripta or the shopping basket in the St. Andrews catalog, growing and growing, we want to look into what the expectations of the researcher are for these types of tools. On top of that, we would like to know if it would be possible to develop a tool that's not dependent on the providing institution, but that focuses as a standalone tool where you can, for example, copy paste any manifest you come across and perform some basic search operations. And if you are able to do that, how would a more advanced version of such a tool look? What are the most necessary functional requirements for such a tool? All of this matches up nicely with the gatherer persona we saw already in the keynote last Tuesday. But when you get down to it, what is it that makes or breaks such a tool? Our user interview should be able to do, should allow us to do a basic functional analysis and formulate a set of recommendations that we will publish in the IIIF community. We intend to develop a basic low-level tool that can serve as a demo or a starting point for further expansion. But of course, we can only do so much. Finally, our last area of interest is IIIF image reuse. This comes down to something that has been repeated a few times throughout the conference. How do you get users and institutions to conquer their fear of the manifest? While the IIIF image API is truly a wonderful tool, explaining to users how they can find the URLs and IDs they need to embed an image or to create persistent references to images, it really is a struggle, and we aim to take several steps to increase image reuse. First of all, we would like to look into the embedding options that currently exist. How can they be found? Do they still work? Are they well known enough? Do they match up with frequently used tools for research dissemination? And secondly, we want to write a set of recommendations for institutions on how to encourage reuse. One of the suggestions that has come up in several sessions is clear identification of the manifest URL, but other solutions like embedding buttons are good examples of a small how-to guide included in the viewer will also be dealt with. The main idea behind these recommendations is is basically the famous user experience adage, don't make me think. Or in the case of IIIF, don't give me a headache with your JSON files. So to conclude, where do we want to end up with all of this? So obviously, we will end this project with a gorgeous collection of digitized medieval manuscripts from all over the world, available through IIIF and with rich metadata and linked data identifiers. This in itself will serve as a beautiful case for the benefits of IIIF. We unite manuscripts from a series of institutions, and we have a basis for different showcases, for example, with the guided viewings, the annotations, and so on. On top of that, and as a lot of projects also intend to do, we want to increase IIIF uptake. However, we want to focus on smaller institutions. We want to know how they can do this without being all too tech savvy, and by using this core collection as a demo case over and over and over again, so people can be convinced by seeing actual demos and examples. And all in all, we hope to end up with a lot of recommendations as well. For everyone who is dealing with IIIF, because what's most inspiring is that this community really wants to seize the potential and wants to achieve it. And we are thrilled to see that the idea of user research and user awareness is growing so much. Even in this conference, you can feel that it's really becoming a central theme, because by focusing on these recommendations and trying to build or demo quick low-level tools that don't require a lot of code knowledge, we hope to provide with our project some very interesting experiments and some possible next steps for where IIIF can or should go. So I conclude our presentation with a plea to you to please get in touch. Our website is www.mmmonk with 3m.be. We will also leave it in the chat. But if you are building a workspace, if you are doing user research, if you are doing anything with IIIF, manifests, guided viewings, annotations, embedding services, or anything else we mentioned, please get in touch with us, because from what we've seen from when we started to now, the field's already evolved so much. We want to keep up, and we want to be able to provide most recent insights. And working together and having meaningful get-togethers is how we will get furthest. So don't hesitate to send us an email. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation and lots of positive comments in the chat. There are a couple of questions. I'll start with Stacey's. Would you be willing and able to share your research results from your user interviews with the D4H team when you have them?
Well, it's definitely, basically we have the Slack channel open all the time when we're following the conference. And when the keynote was on and when the D4H session was on, we were just typing to each other, this is what we were doing, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to do. So we would be very willing to share interests. And also we are only just getting started with the user interviews. So it would be interesting to even see if we can adapt our questions so they match up with what has been done already, so that it really is complementary. So we would really like to do that.
That's great, thank you. And Ben on the chat has also given you an open invitation to attend the D4H and get involved. That'd be great.
Great, thank you.
We've got 1 more minute. So are there external manuscripts that are available that aren't available as IIIF images? And if so, have you looked at making your own manifests and maybe using the single image or static image pattern?
We haven't done that yet, mainly because, well, Evelien is doing a lot of work finding manuscripts everywhere and trying to track down, is the institution already doing IIIF? Do they have plans to move to IIIF? And this is our main focus. And the way we see it, we have a lot of work to be done still. At the end of the project, we will make a balance and see what institutions have no plans of going to IIIF and how we can maybe, our main goal is to convince them to actually go to IIIF. And then if they really don't plan to, or if they have no way to do so, we will look into ways to try and get them into IIIF through us.
That's great, thank you. And again, lots of comments in the chat, so I encourage you to carry on the discussion in Hoover. But
Okay,
I'm afraid I'm going to
well,
have to call the session to an end there. But thank you all. That was really great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.